This morning, it held a state funeral for Shinzo Abe, the country's longest-serving prime minister. It was a lavish ceremony with a host of world leaders in attendance, like U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris, the Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, and the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi. They all paid their respects to Shinzo Abe. But the funeral was not without controversy. Right outside where it was held, hundreds of Japanese citizens marched on the streets, calling the ceremony unwarranted. Here's a report.
Fire cannons, floral tributes, moving speeches,
Japan is back.
and protests. This is how Japan bid farewell to Shinzo Abe, Japan's longest-serving prime minister. It was a lavish state funeral, the first of its kind in 55 years. It started at around 10:30 a.m. with a solemn prayer ceremony, which was followed by rituals like these. This is Aki Abe, the widow of Shinzo Abe. She carried his ashes through the auditorium and handed them over to the Japanese Prime Minister. Japanese lawmakers then took turns to honor Abe. Japan's Prime Minister Fumio Kishida called Abe a man of courage who deserved to live longer.
Mr. Abe, sir, you are a man who needed to live a lot longer. As the compass that shows Japan and the world's future, I had no doubts that you would have been working to your fullest in the next 10-20 years. You were in the Prime Minister's office for the longest period in the country's constitutional history, but history will remember you not for the length of the period, but for your achievements. Courage is doing what is right. Mr. Abe, you were a person of courage.
Also present at this ceremony were a host of foreign dignitaries, like U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris, Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, former British Prime Minister Theresa May, and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. As they paid their respects to the deceased leader, Japan's self-defense forces honored Abe with a 19-gun salute, a tribute befitting the stature of Shinzo Abe. But a few miles away, the sound of cannons was overshadowed by these chants. These were Japan's own citizens, protesting against the state funeral. Why? Everyone had their own reasons. Some felt Abe didn't deserve such an honor.
The things Abe did as a Prime Minister of Japan, a democratic country, is not worth praising. There is no evidence to prove that it's worth such an event.
Others were miffed over the enormous expenditure.
The problem is that they used our tax money for this. It would not have been a problem if the cost was covered by the LDP or the cabinet. That's just what I feel.
The protests went on till the funeral ended. The protesters marched on the streets, armed with slogans, drums, and banners, as the cops struggled to rein them in. These protests offered a glimpse of the legacy Abe left behind. He may have been a celebrated world leader, but at home he was a polarizing figure. His tenure was marked by allegations of cronyism, and even in death, his association with a cult organization has left the people of Japan divided. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.